cover Chapter 5, Preparing to Speak, Presentations, and Visual Aids. According to our authors, there are 6 purposes for speeches. Speeches that inform or instruct, teach us about something. Speeches that persuade, convince us to keep, change, or adopt an opinion on something. They may also ask us to take action. Speeches that inspire, motivate, activate, stimulate, or entertain are ceremonial speeches that may reflect on the significance of a special occasion and give voice to the shared beliefs and values of the audience. You will be preparing and presenting an informative speech for this class. There are 4 types of speech delivery. Impromptu delivery involves no preparation or practice before giving the speech. Extemporaneous delivery involves being given a topic and the time to prepare and practice before giving the speech. An extemporaneous speech aims to be conversational in nature. When using a manuscript, speakers will read directly from the written manuscript. A memorized speech is just what it sounds like, a speech that has been memorized from a manuscript. We will use the extemporaneous speaking style in this class. Do not give in to the temptation to use a manuscript or to memorize your speech. Only professionals can use these types of speech delivery effectively. Speeches are always presented to an audience. Therefore, you should conduct an audience analysis. When selecting a speech topic for your informative speech assignment, ask yourself these questions. How will this topic appeal to this audience? How can I relate this information to audience members' needs? How can I earn respect so that the audience accepts my message? Which of the following would be the most effective in making my point? Statistics, graphic illustrations, demonstrations, case histories, analogies, cost figures? What measures must I take to ensure that this audience remembers my main points? For journal entry number 3, you will identify the topic for your informative speech. Using these audience analysis questions, you will need to discuss how you plan to make this topic interesting and acceptable to this COMM 3324 audience. When organizing your presentation, consider the audience's perception of you as a speaker. Speakers should establish credibility to speak on the subject. Your voice is also important. There are 3 main parts of a speech: an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. There are also verbal signposts and transitions that tie everything together. The rubric used for grading this speech examines these parts of a speech and your delivery. The grading rubric identifies how well the introduction gained the audience's attention, explained the relevance of the topic, established speaker credibility, revealed the purpose of the speech, and previewed the body of the speech. It also identifies whether the body had organized main points, had well-supported main points and sufficient referencing, used clear, correct, and concise language, and had effective transitions. It identifies whether the conclusions summarized the main ideas and used a concluding device. In terms of delivery, the rubric determines whether the speaker used effective paralanguage, used effective body movements, used effective facial expressions, had eye contact with the audience, presented well-designed visual aids, used note cards effectively, had a clear speech outline, had a correct reference sheet, and completed the speech in the time limit. You will need to use some type of visual aid in your informative speech. Here are some common types of visual aids. Objects and models, flip charts, marker boards, and posters, handouts, computer-generated presentations. Table 5.1 on page 103 of your textbook explains what type of visual aid is best for a particular audience. It also provides the advantages and disadvantages of each type. Whatever visual aid you decide to use, keep it simple. Make sure it is an appropriate size that can be seen and that the color is easy on the eyes. The authors give us some points to remember when using visual aids. First, avoid overdoing it. Second, refrain from cramming too much information on each visual. Third, use appropriate text or type styles. Fourth, allow appropriate time for the audience to read and digest information on the visual. Fifth, practice, practice, and practice. And finally, sixth, prepare for problems. Last week, you completed the PRCA 24 instrument to determine your level of communication apprehension. To overcome communication apprehension, always prepare. You also need to rehearse your speech. There is a saying that says practice makes perfect, but I believe that perfect practice makes perfect. When rehearsing, time your presentation so that you know that you can stay within the time limits. If you can, check the location where you will give the speech. And finally, breathe. Always remember to breathe to calm yourself down. Important nonverbal considerations for giving presentations include your appearance. Clothing, hair, and makeup should be appropriate to the situation. You should also keep in mind your hand gestures and your posture. Of course, we know the location or the environment for a presentation is important. When recording one for this class, make sure that the background is not distracting. You should also think about your paralanguage, how you say what you say. Try to keep your message concise but complete, and be aware of your use of vocalized pauses. Things like ahs, ums, you know. You should try to eliminate them if you can. As you begin to prepare your informative speech, Remember, you can always contact me if you have a question. I look forward to learning from you next week.